Everybody, welcome to Hubitat Live. My name is Pete Borchers. I'm your host for this episode. We've got a lot of stuff cooking this week. Bruce is back, for one thing. That's great news. We're going to be talking about Dashboard, doing a little HSM. We've got Mike coming on with his product reviews, and we're going to announce the winner of our contest here at the end of the show. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel so you can get updates on this and be a part of it. But let's bring the group in right now. So, how's it going, gang?
Great. How are you, Pete?
I am doing excellent. Doing very, very well. So, last week, just so you guys know, some people commented that my pictures were a little bit crooked in the background. So,
You fixed it.
I fixed it. I think they're looking pretty good.
Hey, Pete, hang on. I just realized that one of mine was upside down too.
Oh yeah, totally.
Let me just put that. There we go.
You know, that has bothered me for weeks, Mike. So thank you. That looks so much better.
That's much better now, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, you look like a clown before, and now it looks great. By the way, I'm going to announce a contest right now. We will give away a free Hubitat Hub. Sorry, Bruce. If anybody can name the golf courses that are on my wall, right? The hole in the golf course, free hub. Anyone can name that. I'm guessing the
Jesus.
The Venn diagram. People who watch this show and play golf might just be me. But if you can do that, congratulations to you. Anyways, Bruce, good to have you back. Bruce is going to kick us off here with a little bit talk about HSM, Habitat Safety Monitor. So, Bruce, you want to take it away?
Well, sure. I'll try. So we're going to do this actually in 2 episodes. We're going to start tonight with an overview of HSM, and then our next show will go into a little bit more depth because there's quite a bit of stuff to HSM, and I don't want to talk for very long. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Sort of help if I would do that so you can see what I'm doing. And here we go. Hopefully you all can see my screen.
Yep.
And I'm going to add built-in app, Hubitat Safety Monitor. I don't have it installed, so we will install it and we'll go from there. So let's give a little bit of conceptual framework for Hubitat Safety Monitor. You've got all these nice sensors in your house. You've got contact sensors and motion sensors. You might have some smoke detectors. You might have a water leak detector. And the idea here is to be able to give you some notifications if things are not the way you expect them to be, especially if you're not home. Now, we call it Hubitat Safety Monitor and not Hubitat Security Monitor because we think there's a subtle but important difference between a hardwired security system and what you should expect to get with these battery-powered devices that you're using in your home and with Hubitat. If you had a multi-million-dollar art collection, I don't think you want to protect it with Hubitat Safety Monitor. I think you'd want to have a hardwired security system that's professionally monitored. And now there's a line somewhere between what you can do and expect to do with Hubitat Safety Monitor and a hardwired system. I don't know where that line is drawn. It's different for everybody. You can do quite a bit with Hubitat Safety Monitor, but let's be realistic. If you're using relatively low-cost battery-powered sensors, those sensors can fail, and you wouldn't want to have the protection of your valuables or of your family be dependent on sensors whose battery could go at any time. So let's be realistic about it and use it for what it's good for, which is to tell you about things that you didn't expect to happen when you're not home. But don't expect it to replace a professionally installed hardwired security system. So you can put smoke detectors in this. I think you may still want to have some that are hardwired that will call the fire department for you. You don't want to have your house burned down because a sensor battery died. So with that kind of overview said, let's dive into what it can do. For intrusion, we have 3 different settings that you can use: intrusion away, intrusion home, and intrusion night. Intrusion away are the things that you'd like to be able to have monitored when you leave home and there's nobody home. Intrusion home and night are the same sort of thing, but assume that you are home or you're home and maybe in bed at night. So for away, what we're going to be able to monitor are open close sensors, contact sensors on doors and windows, motion sensors, shock sensors. These are glass break detectors, and there are some good ones available, especially Z-Wave. You can install those in your home, and they will alert if there is a broken window. These are kind of difficult to test. I actually have one. I don't have it hooked up to anything. And to test it, you want to make sure this thing works before you rely on it. To test it, I found a recording online of a window being broken and turned the volume up and held the shock sensor next to my computer. And sure enough, it went off. So I think that's pretty good. Contact sensors are what you would expect. You put those on doors and windows. And motion sensors, if you're using motion detectors in your house, which I do quite a bit of for lighting, those are all great, and you can use those. If somebody's walks into your bathroom when you're not home, you might want to know about that. It might not be what you expected. Now you can use this option up here to use every open and close sensor and motion sensor and shock sensor in your house instead of going and picking individual ones you might want to use. Having picked the sensors you want, then you're going to be able to set up the sorts of alerts that you want to get. You can get text alerts. These can be sent to any notification device you have. This could be a Twilio SMS message. It could be the mobile app on your phones. It could be pushover, whatever kind of notification devices you have. You could send a text message to them, and you can include information like there was unexpected motion on, and name the device with percent device, boom. And so you know which one was used. And repeat until canceled. You can have this thing continue for a while if you want, every 30 seconds to repeat until you've gone in and canceled this alert. So you can set up alerts, text alerts, audio alerts. You could speak something on a speech device in your house. This might not be so useful if you're not home, but if you're home, this would be good. You can do siren alerts. If you have a siren in your house, you can turn this on. Now, a word of warning, I don't particularly like Z-Wave siren devices because they have a tendency to go off when you don't want them and wake people up. And they can be awfully difficult to turn off. So be kind of cautious if you set these things up. You don't want to wake up a sleeping child in the middle of the night through something that happens in your system. Light alerts, you can flash lights. Now this is actually a pretty good security mechanism. If you hook it up to flash the outdoor lights or to turn on all your outdoor lights, turn on all your indoor lights. Now it will, if you use light alerts, it will capture the current settings of all those lights. And then when you cancel the alert, it will return them to whatever state it was in before. So you go through and you set up your intrusions, and I've got to set one up or I won't be able to show you how to arm it. We'll just use every sensor, and I've got a text alert. There we go. So it shows that I'm going to use all the contact, motion, and shock sensors, and it's going to send this alert. And now we could arm away. That's the only one I have set up, is to arm away. And so it's now armed, and I think if I could get motion happening here, it would actually go off, which I don't really want to do.
Do a dance, Bruce. Do a dance.
Huh?
Do a dance. Make some motion.
Well, no, because these motion sensors don't reset very quickly. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go. These have 1 minute cycle times, these motion sensors in this room.
Come on, set off the siren. I want to see the frying pan come flying into that room.
Yeah, well, okay, not tonight. Now, arming and disarming options allow us to do things like to give ourselves time to get out of the house when we arm it, and to do some automatic arming and automatic disarming. So, for example, arm away when mode becomes away. That's the obvious thing. So when everybody leaves, it could automatically arm away. Disarm when mode becomes, well, any of the ones I came back, I want it to automatically disarm. So things like that. And we can use delays for arming or for alerts. The intrusion delay is useful. I'm going to come back. I need time to disarm the system. You can use security keypads with these. You can arm and disarm with buttons and switches, etc. So that's the basic idea of Hubitat Safety Monitor. Take some time to think through how you want to use it and what you want to have set up with it, and then test it carefully before you rely on it to do anything. So that's it for this episode about Hubitat Safety Monitor. Next time we'll set it up and make it actually do some things, and put it through its paces. So we can go back here. Pete?
Nice. Thanks, Bruce.
Cool.
So yeah, and you guys have comments, leave them in the comment section there, and Bruce can maybe answer some of those a little later in the show about that. But yeah, good little brief overview of Hubitat Safety Monitor. Don't use it to protect your $1 million paintings. Do use it to keep your kids out of your liquor cabinet. That's kind of where I'm at with that. So all right.
Pete.
Yes.
Pete, I started my early career in the burglar and fire industry, and going through that and seeing Bruce set that up and understanding how he prefaced it first, but going forward, that's as easy, if not easier, than any burglar or fire alarm setup that you're going to find. So it's really nicely done and simple to use, and that demonstrates it right there.
Yeah, and it kind of transitions into our my talk here about Hubitat Dashboard, because you can check your safety monitor right there on the Hubitat Dashboard. So I'm going to take it away from here. We're going to switch gears here a little bit. You may have seen a couple weeks ago I posted a tutorial on using your Hubitat Dashboard. I'm working on another one to do some of the more advanced features, and so today I'm just going to kind of give you kind of a preview of some of those features we're going to be talking about. Now, this should really make the guys nervous here, because usually I have a prompter and have previewed this myself, but we're going to try to go ahead and talk about some of the stuff that we have going on here. So let me just share my screen. All right. So first thing I want to talk about, you should know how to, install Dashboard, get your devices going on. One thing I didn't touch on in the first episode was how to set up some security with your dashboard. If you use your dashboard, especially with a lot of people, or you're using it the cloud dashboard, you might want to put some security on that. So to do that, and you guys always feel free to correct me if I'm going astray. But all right, if we're gonna put you can put a safety code on your dashboard by going into your apps, going into the dashboard you want to set a code on. Down here in the advanced section, if you want to have a PIN number to get your dashboard, you just set it right here. We'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you can do that. Sorry, you can do that also for safety monitor. If you want to, to arm it, disarm it, you can set a code so that you'd have to do that as well. And you can also do that if you want to change the mode. You can to limit people's ability to do that. And again, if you're using multiple people are using the dashboard and you're not sure if things are getting out, it's just a good way to protect that. So now that we've got that set, we'll go back into our dashboard. Which one is this one here? So see, now I just got a PIN number. And all I gotta do is enter the PIN number and I can get it. So it's a pretty easy way to add some security there. And same thing with if you want to make any changes to your safety monitor, we added a code there. So if I want to arm this, it's going to ask for my PIN number before it will do that. So pretty simple, basic way to do that. And one other thing I want to point out as far as security features go, if you don't have to necessarily have this code, this PIN number thing, but if you've shared your dashboard with other people and you don't want to have them have access to it anymore, since it's especially the cloud connection, you can go back into the apps here, and if you go into Hubitat Dashboard and go into the advanced options right here, you can click this reset access token button. I'm not going to press it here, but this will basically break any links that anybody has to the dashboard. So especially if you have like a renter or something that you've given access to your dashboard so that they might be able to control some things, you don't want them to have access anymore. You hit that reset access token, and then you'll have to send new links to everybody that has a dashboard. Now, if you have links from one dashboard to another, it will also break that as well. So be careful when you do this, but it's just a good way to add some security from time to time in your dashboards. So I want to go back into a dashboard now here and kind of show you a few of the features we haven't discussed before. If it lets me. Let's try this again. All right. Okay, so another thing people had some comments and questions on was the ability to use different templates for different devices. So you can choose any device you have and kind of use any template as long as they are somewhat compatible. For example, I've got a sensor. Let's just add a new device here. I'm going to move you, Greg. So if I add a new sensor, right, I'm going to pick a sensor. Let's find my disco room motion sensor here, right? I could just use the sensor or the motion template, to choose motion. It'll show motion, but
you really have a disco room, Pete?
Don't we all? So you can use it to demonstrate motion, which makes the most sense probably. But motion sensors also have a lot of them have temperature sensors in there as well. So you can add if you want to just show the temperature in a room, instead, you could just change that template there, and then if I can move it there. Oh, it's not. I chose a sensor that is not working right now. So let me choose one that's actually here. I got where's the sensor that is actually working? Here, this one right here. All right, you see this one, the bedroom sensor here is working. Yeah. So right now it's demonstrating motion, but if I just want to show temperature, right, I can just select the temperature, and then there we go, right there. It shows 63.16 degrees, and that's kind of a nice feature. And one thing you can do as far as adding background color or background images, especially if you have a weather token or a weather template, right, you might want to get a weather image behind that. Just grab. So what you need to do is have either an image or a GIF, I believe, and find out what that link is, and you can insert that link right there. And then if this works right, why didn't that work, Bruce?
Because it's live.
I think that's right. I think that's right. It was working right before the show. That was one thing I wanted to demonstrate. Let's try a new tile. I had it right in here. Here's the other thing. All right. So one of the cool things you can do is you can have a link to a separate website, which I could created right here, so you can go see the weather anytime from your dashboard. And like I said, so you can add a background image right in here, and maybe it'll work because it was working before. And it's not working, guys. It's live. Mike, why isn't this working?
It's live TV, Pete.
Fantastic.
You know the answer to that.
I do know the answer to that. So, yeah. Well, that was supposed to be a cool weather radar behind your weather link, which was going to be really, really nice indeed. But it doesn't want to give that to us. So we're going to just not worry about that. But that's how you do it. You do add it into the background image URL, and it's supposed to work. And comment about why I'm an idiot in the comments, please. One other thing I wanted to show you, though, is that if you have lots of different dashboards, you can actually create a new tile that is just links to another dashboard, which I think is a really convenient way to have multiple dashboards without having a whole bunch of different links on one. So all you gotta do is just create a dashboard link here. you select your dashboard, right? You can go to your knitting time dashboard. We'll add the tile here in the bottom corner so you can see it. And there it is right down here. We'll move it up one. Why is it going over here? We don't want it there. Anyways, we're going to put it right there. There it is, our dashboard link to knitting time. Why? Oh, shoot. I keep adding tiles in random places. Yeah, so this one here, we're making it our knitting time link. We'll close that. There we go. Knitting time right there in the bottom corner. You click to it, and boom, you go right to your other dashboard. So the last thing I want to get into here with my time, we're running out of time, is if you have to move your, move you here, Bruce. If you want to move a row up and down, that can be kind of inconvenient. You got to go into each individual tile and move it. But if you go into the advanced, no, why isn't that working? Okay, if you go into the advanced, I found it's a lot quicker to go in here, and this should make you all nervous of me going into code. But if you want to move everything down a row, you just go quickly through everything, and you can just change the row in here. And it'll drop everything down real fast. I'm not going to do it all because we're out of time. But if you just save that, these are going to link. But look at that. It drops it all down there. Now it's a real mess. But trust me, if you do it for every one of them, it would drop everything down. And it's really a lot faster than trying to do each one individually. So just a few tips. We're going to come out with a video here real short that has a few more ideas. But that's just some of the things you can do with Dashboard. A lot, really powerful. And it can be a lot of fun. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen there. And I'm going to kick it over to Mike. Unless you guys have any questions about Dashboard or comments, so I kick it over to Mike for his product of the week.
You guys left me all of 1 minute.
We've got plenty of time. We got 6 minutes left.
All right. So you're going to cut over to...
Yep, we'll get you there.
So what we got is, I think I showed some of these last week. These are Shelley. And I think when we were talking about the in-wall microcontrollers, I was showing you, I think it was just the switch. So this is basically this isn't their entire line, but this is all the stuff they sent me. And in the last episode, I was working on a driver for the switch, and that driver for the switch is virtually complete. And that will be in the next release, which is 2.2.0. And that driver will work with the single switch, which is basically just a single switch. It will work with the single switch with power monitoring, which doesn't look any different than the other one other than it's a different color. And it'll also work with the double switch with power monitoring. So this one actually is two separate relay points. Though it's not really a relay, it's actually a switch. In other words, it doesn't have dry contacts. None of these do. They call it a relay. So these are actually for Wi-Fi devices, they actually work pretty well. We're able to get real-time updates out of them, so you don't have to pull them for the switch status. The power reporting, you'll initially get a reading out of it after the switch is turned on or off, or you can configure some specific times that you want the reports to come out. They also have a dimmer, which is the one I've been playing around with a little bit this week. I don't know if this will be in the next release or not, but the intent is to support the dimmer as well. Then they have an RGBW controller. This is a low voltage controller, so it needs its separate power supply. You guys that play with strips are familiar with these. I have no idea what commands this thing supports. I haven't even brought it online yet and looked at it to see what it can do. So far the devices that we've talked about are relatively inexpensive. I mean, I think you can get a 4-pack of these single switches for like 40 or 50 bucks. So they're relatively inexpensive. I I would not deploy a whole house full of these, only because they're Wi-Fi and it'll take up quite a bit of your Wi-Fi address space. But it's also not clear exactly how well they're going to do with, bulk commands and stuff. I mean, I'd be interested in hearing from people, anybody that have a whole lot of these deployed, and see how they work with group commands. But I think you're better off with, Zigbee for that, or Z-Wave, either one of those two. So they also have two other devices, and these are obviously sensors. So, I mean, this thing is kind of cool looking. It's sort of weird. It doesn't mount or anything. It looks like a little spacecraft of some sort, but it is a legitimate sensor.
What does it sense, Mike?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Water?
H and T. So this one does humidity and temperature. So it's capable. It's supposed to tell us what the battery report is. It's supposed to tell us what the temperature is and what the humidity is. And so far, it hasn't told me shit. So I don't know if I have it configured wrong or there's actually something up with the firmware. So I don't know. I have an email, or I'm trying to get a hold of the guy that sent me these to see if he can explain that. But so far, it hasn't produced anything as far as Hubitat's concerned. I'm sure it works with their app.
Hey, Mike.
And then
just a question about Wi-Fi versus Zigbee and Z-Wave. Are they as fast as Zigbee and Z-Wave sensors, or is there a difference in speed?
It depends on how they're set up. The switching and the switches, it's as fast as a Zigbee or a Z-Wave device.
Okay.
The battery stuff is typically not going to have the battery life that you get with Zigbee and Z-Wave, just because the protocol is much heavier. So when we talk about these types of devices, Wi-Fi devices that are sensors, I'm not so excited about them. So I don't really know how long the batteries will last in these. But to be honest, I looked up the prices on these, and these are in the $40 range. And at that point, you have so many Zigbee and Z-Wave devices to pick from. I'm not sure I see the point in, at least with this particular line, with picking up, any of their, typical sensor-related devices. The other thing is they're definitely asleep. Just like Z-Wave devices, you actually have to wake them up to do your configuration. Whereas with quite a few Zigbee devices, you don't need to do that.
So what's that, the splash and configure approach?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, when there's a button inside of all these, and when you click it and wake it up, it'll stay awake for 3 minutes, or you can click it again and turn it off. So there you go.
Oh. Well,
so it gives you plenty of time to configure it. But like I said, I've not, so far these things are supposed to be sending me their automated reports at least every hour, and I'm not getting anything out of them. So I don't know what the deal is. I was actually kind of surprised that they made these, but these things are pretty cool though. So if you're just trying to get in, get started with stuff like this, and just have one or two of these sorts of things, the switches or dimmers that you want to play around with, particularly the switches, like I said, a 4-pack is like $40 or $50. I mean, where else are you going to get, a device like this? Of course, as we talked about last week, this goes in the wall, and then you have to put some sort of a switch, your existing switch, you basically connect to this, and you get the advantage that you can run automations off of it. So that's all I've got to say about Shelley.
All right, thanks, Mike. So I just had a couple questions from the live stream here I want to ask, and then we'll announce our winner, and then we'll get the heck out of here. So one question was about the, where did we go? Can you do a tile in the dashboard to be a countdown timer for an event to happen? Is that a thing we can do in there?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
It's on the feature request list. We'll get to it.
Okay. David G recommended placing his background images in a GitHub directory for his devices. That would be helpful, so I don't run into the problems I had. Evil Borg says that the device you were talking about works with the 4 Pro. He tested it last night, so it does work with the 4 Pro. So good for everybody. So I think that's kind of all we need to touch on. Let's announce our big winner. What's that?
Wait a minute. What works with the 4 Pro?
It was the one of the Shelley
The Shelley switch driver works with the 4 Pro.
Yes.
Okay. For those of you that don't know, the 4 Pro is a DIN-mounted switch with 4 endpoints in it, and they didn't send me one of those. I figured it would work, but thanks for confirming.
Yeah. So I mean, I knew that obviously, but the other people,
of course, yeah,
needed help with that. So thanks for your comments, everybody. Thanks for watching, and for those that didn't know, we were holding a contest on the community to recommend suggestions for topics for the show, and we got a lot of great suggestions, and we'll actually cover a lot of those in future episodes. But we had one of our big winner was going to get a new 3-zone color touch panel and dimmer from RGB Genie, courtesy of Sean Nant, and the winner of that contest is Michael L. Nelson, is the winner, the big winner. He suggested that we have a community Hall of Fame, and that we should have some of those members on as guests. And we think that is a great idea, because the community is really one of the things that sets us apart from any other home automation system. I mean, you people at the community are outstanding. You help us out with new members, you help each other out, and you keep us going with suggestions. You kick our butts on occasion, which is great, and you're awesome. So we've already started doing King and Queen for a Day. If you go to community.hubitat.com, and you can nominate people that are really helping out with either giving code or just helpful suggestions. And so we're gonna create this Hall of Fame, and we're gonna have some of you on the show in the future. So congratulations to Michael L. Nelson. Wasn't he the actor and coach? Am I?
No, he wasn't. But thanks, Michael. Great idea, and happy that you won.
Exactly. So that's it for our show. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
Great.
No, perfect. All right. So again, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in a couple weeks. So long.
Bye-bye.
Are we off?
Yep.
God, we never